Hey guys, I hope everyone's doing okay. Today's a bit of a rainy day, so I thought I'd do a video showcasing my 50s style Vintera Telecaster. So the Vintera series is part of Fender's Mexican range that came out in 2019. Within this range you have a 50s style Telecaster, a 60s style Telecaster and a 70s style Telecaster. The 50s and 60s style Telecaster both come with single coil pickups in both positions. The 50s has a maple neck and the 60s has a rosewood neck. The 70s style Telecaster comes with either a rosewood or maple neck with a larger 70s style headstock. And pickup wise you have a humbucker in the neck, and you can either choose to partner that with a single coil or another humbucker in the bridge position. There's also a 60s style Telecaster which comes with a Bigsby already fitted from the factory. So the other thing that's important to say about the 50s and I believe the 60s Telecasters in this range is where we'd normally have a 3-position switch. So we'd go from bridge to middle to neck. We've now got an extra position which activates both these pickups, but instead of being in series, they're in parallel. So it kind of acts a bit more like a humbucker would. It doesn't sound exactly like a humbucker, but it's just that bit thicker. So I'm going to start on the neck pickup. So we're going to treat this like it's a traditional Tele, and then we're going to see what other sounds we can get out of it. So starting on the neck pickup, and I'm just going to play into an emulation of a Fender Super Reverb. There's no reverb on at the moment, so you're going to hear this nice and dry straight into the amp, so you're going to really hear the guitar. Cool, so you get like a lot of the traditional kind of Telecaster attack, but it's actually quite a nice kind of warm, mellow sound, but there's just enough bite to kind of cut through in a mix. So now I'm going to do exactly the same thing. I'm going to swap to the traditional middle position. So I'm going to play exactly the same part. Ready? So this is both neck and middle in the normal traditional way, so 2 single coils. So in that position you get a bit more of a kind of bell-like chime to it. It's not quite as warm, not quite as rounded in the bottom end, but it's nowhere near as pokey as this bridge position. So as I was saying before on that pedal show, so as Dan Steinhardt mentioned on that pedal show before, the middle position is really useful for that funky kind of sound. So the kind of, you probably can guess what song that's from. So now we're going to move to the back pickup, and this pickup is really quite pokey. It's got a lot of output, and you'll probably notice the difference in output. So I'm going to play exactly the same part. The tone's been all the way up for this the whole way through, so you're going to hear just how kind of punchy and bright this pickup is. So exactly the same thing. So yeah, you can really notice just how kind of upper MIDI and really cutting through a mix that pickup would be. This sound gets really cool when you add a bit of bit of overdrive to it. So I'm using a TC Dark Matter. With all the knobs are almost set at 12 o'clock actually, so it's not actually doing that much to kind of shape the tone. Like I'm not doing any drastic EQ, like boosting loads of bass or taking away loads of bass. But so if I stay on the back pickup and just add a bit of gain, so that's kind of like your classic rock tone for a Telecaster. So back pickup, bit of crunch. It's not really high gain, so if I kind of do like, it's not doing the high gain thing where the palm mutes are kind of almost flubbing together. But for like, again, you know, this is kind of classic Telecaster kind of rock music. So you get a lot of top end cut, which really helps cut through when you're playing with, you know, a loud, busy drummer and a bass player and a vocalist. So there's quite a lot to compete with there, but the Telecaster sits really nicely, especially on that back pickup. So let's hear a couple more tones. So now we're going to do the middle position with a bit of gain, and I'm going to play the same kind of rocky thing. So. So again, that's a bit fatter, not quite as punchy, although there is still enough kind of top end to it. So you are still going to hear it, it's just going to be maybe a bit of a kind of mellower lead tone. So then if you get onto the neck pickup, we have mellower still, but there's still, because of the Telecaster being a Telecaster, it has a lot of top end still, so it should still cut through pretty well. It's just less aggressive than the bridge position. So if I play something similar again, so. So for me, that puts me in a kind of Hendrixy headspace. It's obviously not the same as a neck pickup on the Strat, but it's probably closer to that than, you know, a lot of other things, being that it is a single coil. So now we're going to look at the extra position. So I'm going to turn the gain off. And so this is both pickups wired in parallel. So this sounds a bit fatter, like a humbucker. So just to give you a comparison, I'm going to go back to the middle. So that's the traditional middle pickup. Now I'm going to go to both together, wired like a humbucker. So for me, I can already hear there's a lot more mid-range presence, and it's kind of like a wider sound. It's also hitting the interface that I'm using a bit harder, so it's, you know, clearly louder. So if we go from the normal middle position with gain, we should hear an increase in gain if we go to both together. So if I go from this, and now I'm going to use both pickups together. It's just got that little more kind of punch to it because it's effectively a humbucker. It doesn't sound like a humbucker, but you've got more of that humbucker kind of fatness to it. So the best thing about this guitar is the price. For the price of 2 of these, you could buy one USA equivalent 50s style Telecaster. Now, if you look at the specs online, there isn't a great deal in it. And the USA one doesn't come with the S1 switch. Now, that is also one area that I wish they'd done slightly differently, because it is useful. I don't find myself using it that much, but when I do, it's useful to have it there. But if you look at this pickup switch, this is the back pickup, this is the middle pickup, this is the front pickup. This is where the S1 switch comes in handy with the humbucking mode. So this is both pickups as the humbucker. I would have preferred it if they'd have put that on the position before and then the neck on that position. Because when you're in the middle of a gig, the last thing you want to do is go from back pickup and say you're soloing and then you're going to go back to playing clean and playing rhythm parts. It's really fiddly to go 1, 2 rather than just all the way forward. So that's one kind of practical issue that I've had with this guitar. Other than that, literally nothing. It plays really well. I've tweaked it a little bit, but that was just kind of keeping it in good shape rather than fixing a bad guitar kind of thing. The other thing that I'd want to change, this front pickup isn't quite powerful enough to keep up with this back pickup. So you probably heard earlier the massive difference as soon as we go to this pickup on its own. It's really poky, it really sticks out. So I may change this to a humbucker, kind of like Joe Bonamassa's done, just to kind of keep up with this one more. But that's something I may do in the future. Yeah, so thanks very much for watching, and I'll see you guys soon.